What's up, YouTube? I hope all is well with you because things are fantastic with me. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the RuPaul's Drag Race season finale reunion taping because I actually went, which was a wonderful, awesome experience. And I just realized that was almost 2 weeks ago, and I still have yet to talk about it with you guys. And they're showing it on Logo tomorrow, so I wanted to give you my version of what happened, and then my predictions of who is gonna win. So yeah, let's start. First off, I was in LA for something else. I have a friend who is actually on a TV show, and she was taping her final episode, and so she had flew a few of the friends, her closest friends, in order to watch it, which was super awesome. And I ended up staying a few more days so that I can see the RuPaul's Drag Race season finale taping. I initially thought that I would be able to go with my friend and a few of her friends, but because they had some other obligations with taping, I couldn't go, they couldn't go, so I had to go by myself. And the worst part was I was in LA. Well, I don't know. I was in a suburb of LA, and it's terrible that I don't remember where I was staying. But from the Orpheum Theater to take an Uber, it was like $75. And I didn't want to spend like $150 going to and from the season finale. So it was like, ugh. So what did I ended up doing was taking public transportation by myself. And it took forever. Uh, but yeah, I'm explaining this because I want to explain what happens later. Uh, but with that being said, let me go ahead and talk about the actual finale. So I arrived at the theater around like 4:30, which was an hour and a half but before they were opening up the doors. And initially I thought I would go to like a restaurant and like hang out there until it was time to open the theater, because I was like, well, I mean, we have assigned seats, there's no hurry. But when I walked by the theater, I see Alaska. And I was like, okay, yeah, I need to stay in line because I want to see who I'll see next. And the next people I see are Jinx Monsoon and Sharon Needles, and they looked fantastic. Then they were just walking into the theater, just chilling, and they had like a little entourage with them. That was awesome. Then I saw Darian Lake. She looked gorgeous. And then everyone was just waiting in line so we can see the queens. And then, we saw the shade was like when queens would walk by, everyone would cheer and be like, "Yay!" And then when we saw who is it, Mimi on first, no one said anything, and she was just so happy as can be to be walking by. But no one was like, "Yeah, Mimi on first." Everyone was just kind of like, okay, which was so shady. But when I was waiting in line, it was just so much fun because the people that I was waiting in line with were just talking about the show and who we wanted to win. Everyone that was around me was Team Pearl, which, like I said before, I don't understand what the big deal is. And you Team Pearl stands are scary, because if anybody doesn't like her, you guys are just so shady and upset about it. And that's how the people were in line. Oh, and then I saw Alyssa and Laganja. They looked fierce, and I was so excited because I got to take a selfie with Laganja when I got inside. And she was so nice and sweet, and I was just happy I got a selfie with her because she was so like nice. Well, she didn't have. Well, yeah, they do have to be, but she was nicer than what I expected her to be, which was awesome. Then, my favorite was when I saw Malina Luzon. I can't speak today. Malina Luzon, like, she had her little horn outfit, like, she had horns coming out of her boobies. And then she walked by, and I was just like, hi. I know I looked so scary when I said it, but I was like, hi. And she was all like, hello. And so she waved at me, and I was just like, oh my God. I realize now that, I mean, I don't get starstruck with many people, but I totally get starstruck with drag queens, like for sure, because I saw some other famous people this weekend and I was just like, oh, okay, hey girl. But when it was like the drag queens, oh my goodness, I completely geeked out every single time. And so then it was finally time to go inside the theater. And when we entered into the theater, they were actually having the red carpet like right in front of us, right in front of us. So all the queens were just like accessible, like all of them. We saw Ivy Winters. We saw everyone from season 2 was just like right there. And of course, so the people on the red carpet, when I came through, the top 3 were in the middle of the red carpet, getting their interviews and everything. And then there was Max. Max was just looking stunning. It was amazing. And who else? But just basically any queen you can think of, they were all there. And they were all on the red carpet. And I got to see the pit crew up close. They looked hot. Hot, hot, hot. And then Milena Lusan, she waved at me one more time. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I didn't pay for a VIP ticket, but I felt like it was totally VIP. Because, like, everyone was so close to the queens, like when they were taking their seats. And like, yeah, they had some guards like right there, but for the most part, everyone was so easily accessible. And Detox was right there, and she was taking selfies with anyone who asked. And I was too shy to ask for a selfie. I was just kind of like, she's so tall. Well, actually, all of them are tall with their heels. Like, it was amazing to look at. And then I took my seat, and I was like way in a nosebleed section because I bought my ticket, just nosebleed section. That's what I was. And I was next to these 2 wonderful men. I think they were dating. I hope they were because they were adorable. But we were just talking about RuPaul's Drag Race until the show started. And, you know, they were a little younger. And so they had only seen season 5 and 6 and now 7. And I was like, oh no, honey, you need to know about season 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? You know? And I was schooling them, letting them know a thing or two. And they were just like, oh wow, we need to check that out. And I was like, of course you do. Yeah. And so finally the show started. And it was Bianca Del Rio. She looked beautiful, like gorgeous. And it was so exciting to see her like open up. She was funny, of course. And then they had the first act, warm-up act, which was Latrice Royale. And you can tell by her outfit that she was about to work it. And she did. She slayed. And when she did that split, oh my goodness, I got life. Like, she was moving. Like, I'd never seen her move. Like, I haven't seen her perform live, so I'm not really familiar with the way she performs live, but that was amazing. Like, it was really good. And she brought the house down, and she got a standing ovation. Then there was Adore. When Adore came out, I didn't like her dress, but then again, she's like the grungy drag, which, okay, that's her thing. It's just, I'm not too interested in it. And then she started singing. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then her glasses just got stuck in her head, and that was like really awkward. And she was playing it off really well, but it was still like so sad to see. I was like, oh my God, can this please be over? And everyone around me was gagging. They were just like, are you kidding me? This is happening? Ugh. So finally the performance was over, and she could get off the stage. And I was like, thank God, because that was uncomfortable to watch. Then the third performance was the House of Edwards, which was Alyssa Edwards, Laganja, and Shangela. And they did a little performance, and of course they brought the house down. All 3 of them are excellent performers. Alyssa has some gorgeous, gorgeous legs. They just were amazing, and I really want to see them on tour. And I'm upset that they're from Dallas, Texas, but they have yet to perform as a trio in Dallas. For what I know, I'm not sure. Maybe they have, and I just didn't get the memo. But I really want to see them perform because I think like that trio is unstoppable. Then the show started, and they started with like this like group number of everyone walking out on stage, and everyone looked good. Everyone looked good except for, in my opinion, Candy Ho. Candy Ho was wearing this big old ball gown that she could hardly move in, which I thought was so funny. Like I guess she was trying to be fierce, but girl, that's not the fierce she needed to be. But she had walked out, and it was hard for her to walk in her outfit. But everybody else looked amazing. Out of the top three, even though I'm not a fan of her, I have to admit, in the entry looks, Pearl looked the best. That's the person that looked the best. So I'll give that one to her. Round one goes to Pearl. Then afterwards, what they did was they told us that all three of the top three were going to do a lip sync performance. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting because, they haven't done that before. And it was funny because, first of all, RuPaul was looking flawless as she should. Like, she was like this big beaming light. It was amazing. Like, I could not stop looking at her. And it was so funny because she's so professional. She was doing her lines. And it was so funny because when something would go wrong with a production, she would be like reading them on the low. She'd be like, oh, I thought they would have had this figured out by now. Making the production feel like doo-doo, I'm assuming, because you are making Queen Rue wait for your behinds to get it together. But either way, it was really cool, and of course we got to do the cheering and all that stuff. Oh, I forgot, Michelle Visage. Oh, she looked good. She was snatched. My goodness, she has lost weight and she's looking amazing. I was here for that, and the rest of the judges were there. Carson and of course Ross Matthews. I personally think that Carson doesn't need to be there next season. That's just my opinion. But anyway, so then we get to the lip syncs. So first it was Ginger Minj. Ginger killed her lip sync. She did like a gospel type of theme song. I don't know the names of any of the songs because they're songs I never heard before. But she worked it out. Oh my goodness. And then of course they all had the backup dancers with them. And then this number, she had the backup dancers in choir robes and they were banging tambourines and they were working out that gospel number. It was great. Then afterwards they had like an interview with Ginger, and I had to give it to Ginger. She was the most professional out of the three queens when it came to answering the questions. She answered them directly, and she was very honest, and she was very elegant in her delivery as opposed to the other two. So, I haven't been a fan of Ginger like these past few episodes, but after seeing her lip sync and her interview segment, I was really, really impressed. But then it was Pearl. Pearl's lip sync was like, a regular Pearl lip sync. She was doing her little thing that everyone thinks is amazing, but it's not. Like when she's waving her hands and stuff. And then the backup dancers were, what would they dance? They were dressed as something purple, some kind of purple animal. It was all very strange and weird. I wasn't here for it. And then when it came to her answering the questions and everything, like, she doesn't know how to answer questions. She's not fit for the media circuit. Like, if she was to win, like, the interviews are going to be completely boring and not inspiring at all. That's just my opinion. And then, one thing I thought was funny is they had, like, a little segment in which they were saying it was the curse of Pearl. So, like, anybody that talks smack about Pearl, like, automatically they'll get eliminated. So basically, they have the clip of when a Pearl was Big Angie in the Snatch game and she did this. And so everybody, every time someone said something bad about Pearl, they'd show the clip of her going like this. And they would show the clip of that queen getting eliminated. It was just so shady, so rude, but it was so funny. I thought that was really cool. But like I said before, I don't see it for Pearl at all. But the audience saw it for Pearl. Like, she was the one who got the biggest applause out of everybody. It was pretty bad. And she also turned me off because I felt she was kind of rude. Like, RuPaul was trying to say things to the audience, like her lines and stuff. Then Pearl will be behind RuPaul, like making faces so that the crowd would cheer and stuff. And I just felt like she was throwing people off, and I didn't appreciate that. I was just like, oh my God, like, you're so obnoxious. And then I remember someone was like, Pearl, you're so real. Like, who says that? Oh my God, whatever, calm down. And another thing that I thought was really interesting is like, she feeds off definitely the audience, and she would do things like the audience, they were clapping and crying for her like hysterically, and so she would do stuff like this, like directing them to applaud, and they did. I wasn't applauding for her, that's for sure. But I don't know. Something tells me she will win because she definitely has the popular vote. But like I said before, I'm not here for her. I'm not here for it at all. But that was Pearl. Then there was Violet Chachki. Violet brought the house down. Violet decided that she was going to do her Dita Von tease, and she was going to work it. And so basically she did like a Dita Von Teese style strip number, like where she did this like little, what you call those girls that, I don't know. But anyway, she looked beautiful, and then she stripped down to, of course, nakedness. She looked good, and she did that. Like, it was a wonderful, flawless performance. Everyone stood up for her, standing ovation. She was wonderful. And then when it came to her interview portion, I mean, it was okay. It was better than Pearl's, but it wasn't as good as Ginger, for sure. But like I said before, if I had it my way, either her or Ginger will win. I just don't want Pearl to win because I don't understand how she got into the top 3 in the first place. Speaking of top 3, it was really nice to see all the other queens because, when they come through, everyone's cheering for them. But then Katya comes through and the applause is like deafening. I mean, that woman definitely needed to be in the top 3, and that night was just so apparent. Like, I just feel so bad for her. Like, everyone was upset that Ben de la Creme last season didn't make top 3. I wasn't necessarily upset because I felt like she fell in certain parts. But Katya has been a strong competitor throughout season 7, and I feel like she didn't get the love that she deserved, except for she got it tonight. I mean, not tonight, but she got it that night when she came through because everyone was cheering for her because she deserves it. She needed to be in the top 3 instead of Pearl. Let's be real. It should have been Katya and not Pearl in the top 3. Anyway, moving on. Then afterwards they had what we call, when all the queens get on stage and it's to answer question portion. And the only thing that I remember was they were talking about Jasmine, and when Jasmine and Kennedy lip synced, when Jasmine got eliminated, Kennedy said something to Jasmine, and then RuPaul asked Kennedy, she was like, Kennedy, what did you say in Jasmine's ear when she got eliminated? And Kennedy was like, I don't remember. I really don't remember. And then RuPaul was like, oh, weird. I would assume that you would remember since you were coached on this segment and it's been produced, as in like they've already told Kennedy that you're going to talk about this. And so Kennedy was like, oh, sorry. And then it was so funny because Jasmine was like, well, this is what happened. She said this. And so RuPaul and Jasmine are talking, and then Kennedy was like, oh yeah, I said this. And then RuPaul was like, no, we've already figured it out, honey. Just stop. It was just so funny because he shut Kennedy down real quick. So that was really a funny segment. And it was at that time, like, we got through the first 4 eliminated queens, which were Tempest, Sasha Belle, Jasmine. Who was the 4th one? I think it was Mrs. Kasha Davis that they got through because I think they put Trixie later. But, like, after that, it was like 11 o'clock when they got through that. And they were switching the girls to the next 4. And at that point, I was like, well, I took public transportation and I need to take public transportation back. So I'm going home. I had been there since 4:30 and now it was 11. And like it's really hard to sit through like a TV show like RuPaul's Drag Race because there were so many moving parts, and they had to get certain like segments, talking segments, and it just took forever. And at that point, I was like, look, I'm going to watch it on TV in 2 weeks. I'm good. Like, I got to see a lot of queens at the beginning. I had fun, but I need to go home. So I left early, so I didn't get to see the rest of it. And I know you're like, Kenji, you're a terrible fan. But in all due fairness, first of all, the theater was not filled to capacity, which surprised me. Like, I'll say the last part of the balcony, there were none of the seats were filled. So like I just assumed it would be something that would sell out, but it didn't, which surprised me. Um, but I'm okay with not seeing all of it. I would have preferred to have gone to DragCon because that looked like that was a lot of fun. Um, but what can you do? I'm gonna watch the rest of it with you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna have my little recap up there. Um, but all in all, what I got from that night was Pearl most likely is going to win because she definitely has the popular vote, and I'm really, really not here for it at all. I'm very upset about it actually, but I mean, it is what it is. I just got to accept it as such. Um, Ginger Minj is a very great public speaker. Violet, surprisingly, is an amazing performer, and I think she'll do well on the road. And I hope that she wins, but for the most part, I think Pearl's gonna win because they've been pushing her all season long. Um, and that's about it. We're gonna see who wins tomorrow, and we'll take it from there. But with all that being said, I'm gonna be done here. I hope you guys did everything you need to do in order to have a happy, successful, and healthy life. And I am going to talk to you later. Bye.